In this episode, the panel discusses the notes our teams get from clients. Often the clients that you have in a corporation are sometimes neither video savvy nor sometimes very politic. And the notes can be, sometimes either harsh and or really hard to interpret. How do you deal with notes that are coming down on creative work within your team? Anita, what have your strategies been?
Yeah, this is a great question. This is ongoing. Notes is always an ongoing, you know, hot potato, I guess. So we have implemented some training around how to give and receive feedback because I found, especially with the more junior members of the team, that they are sometimes they're rubbed raw by the notes, and they're upset by them. And my feeling on it is, we have so many clients and they're constantly changing. And yes, we could give them yet another slide that explains how to work with the video team and how to give notes. But I think it's important for creatives in any environment where you're getting paid for your work to take notes, even if they rub you wrong, and also to be able to push back on notes and say, I'm the expert, I'm the creative, this is why we do things this way. You may not always get your way, and sometimes I tell my team that, sometimes we're not right. Sometimes you try a note and you're like, oh yeah, that was better. And sometimes the notes drag the whole thing down and it kind of crashes and burns because they didn't listen to the creatives. So I think it's important that the creatives and especially the producers have a collaborative relationship with our clients so that, when we get tough notes, the producer is able to push back on behalf of the animators and the editors, and themselves, but can also be open enough to notes that they may think are ridiculous and give them a shot, because sometimes they may work. But notes is, it is true, it's tricky. I do believe that for creatives, it's beneficial to see the notes in the rawest format, however they come from the client. And because sometimes that can start a conversation, or people can see the frustrations that are happening in a project. I'm a big believer in transparency in that regard.
Yeah, I would echo 100% of that. I would also say that um, it's a consensus building exercise, even more so in the internal creative uh, studio than ever, and that you have to have people on your staff that are consensus builders. I think that there's a lesson to be learned uh, on teaching the clients the difference between colors or style guide, manifestos, making sure that you are delivering against the brief so that the rubbed raw doesn't come out of left field. But at the end of the day, they're your client, and you have to manage that process. The key, the biggest key with creatives, I think, is that you have to work as rapidly and as efficiently as possible, because 9 times out of 10 they get either bored or that their best ideas are not surfacing. That the lack of momentum, the cut by 1,000 deaths, will kill the creativity in the project. So you have to take the notes, one, seriously, be able to defend your position, but then get back get back to the work and do a revision as quickly as possible. Because the longer it goes on, my history is the worse the work gets.
I love the overlap here. For Anita, it's collaboration. For Scott, it's consensus building. But both of you agree that it's the relationship with the client that's essential for the dialogue that notes, whether they're constructive or otherwise, must be a part of. On a side note, I'm pretty sure that Scott's phrase, "cut by 1,000 deaths," will soon be tattooed on at least one of our editors' forearms. So stay tuned for more from this insightful and phrase-coining panel. Thanks for watching.